to take a look at War of 1812 Solitaire. This is an after-action report as I just finished up a solitaire game of this. This is my first solitaire game of 1812, or the War of 1812. And this is from Worthington Publishing, which was kind enough to send me this copy. And I'll put a link to the video where I unboxed it if you want to see all the contents, but you can kind of see all the contents here as well. This is again a solitaire game. It's based on the War of 1812, and it is based also on kind of the States of Siege system or series back from Victory Point Games back in the day, which is a system or series that kind of has tracks where there are going to be several tracks that are you're trying to progress on. In the traditional States of Siege, they were all trying to converge on one point and you were defending. This one is you're advancing along the track and trying to take over certain locations. The York location here and the Montreal location that is here. And so there's four land tracks, and then there's three lakes that come into play. And in order to advance on the track is easy enough or simple as rolling a die and seeing what the advance is. So if you roll a 1 to 2, you get no advance. If you roll a 3 to 6, then you get to advance on that track. And that works for both sides. You are playing up against a bot, which is the British, and you are the Americans. And so you have to roll the die and try to advance on the track. You start off in these flag locations, and you're trying to move along this track to take over York and Montreal. The British on their turn are going to roll a single die, and it's going to tell you what to do over here. It might have something different on an odd turn versus an even turn, and it might have the British fight back and advance on the track, and you'll use the same advance results. It might fight on the lakes, or it might add the Northwest Warriors to the play. And what those warriors do is they're a -1 dice roll modifier. Also, the British regulars could be added, which I had all four of the British regulars were added. Normally, you just have a British control marker, and you're pushing that back, or that's pushing you back to show control of a location or a town. And but with the regulars, that's a -1 dice roll modifier. So if you had the regulars on, like for example, on this track, or if I was attacking something on this track and the warriors were out there, it would be a -2 to the die roll. And again, in order to advance, you need to roll a 3 or above to advance. So that's kind of the basics of the game. You're going to roll at the beginning of each turn and figure out how many resource points you have. 1 to 2 is 1, and a 5 to 6 is 3 resource points. And then what do you use those resource points? Well, you can attack an adjacent area. So you just do an attack, you roll the dice and see if you advance. You can try to take over a lake, and that has a little bit different results. There is 1 to 3 is no effect, and 4 to 6 is you get to flip over and take control of that. So you got a 50-50 chance on the lakes. And the what else can you do? Oh, you can add a American regular to the board, and that gives you a die reroll. So you get to reroll again. If you roll a low result, you get to you spin this and get to reroll again. Yeah, I did a little bit of that, but not a whole lot. So you get rerolls and they get dice roll modifiers. That's kind of the trade-off there. Also, the York and Montreal have a -2 die roll modifier. They're tougher to take over. And these towns here that you see with a pentagon, those are fortified. Those are a -1 to take over. So, so if you have that, and that, that's a -3 right there. Or if you're in the York, it could be really bad. So how did I do? Well, I got to turn 17, and if you roll a 6 on turn 17 to 20, peace occurs. The game ends immediately, and then you add up victory points. And I actually controlled York and Montreal. And there's an optional rule which says, that if America occupies Montreal and New York at the end of the game turn, they win instant. And so I did that. I did that back over in here. So I probably could have called that as an optional rule, but I went ahead and played it out to see how it plays out. And then I ended up losing because I had those two. So that's 6 points and 3 points for York. So that's 9 points. Plus I had advanced one town here on this Fort Niagara, or the Niagara track, Niagara front. So that gives me 10, but you lose 2 points for each lake that's controlled. And I didn't mess with the lakes very much. I attacked, I think, one time. I probably should have focused on the lakes more, but so I lost 6 points to the lakes. Then if this is in play, if the Warriors are in play, and I took them out one time, there's a way to take them out. That's one of your resource points, is to attack them and try to take them out. You get a 50-50 chance to do that. But then they came back, and so I lost 2 points for that. So 10 minus 8 is 2, which is horrible, right? I did really bad in this. So 10 or less, British win. Canada will remain with Great Britain. If the score is 6 or less, the Americans will lose territory. So I actually lost territory. So now I'm going to go to the optional rule that if America occupies Montreal and York at the end of any game turn, they win instantly. So that's what I'm going to go with. Revisionist history, right? So anyway, this is really not that hard of a game. I've got there's 2 in the series right now. There's the War of 1812 Solitaire, and there's the War in the Pacific Solitaire. I believe it's 41. I've got a video on that, at least an unboxing. I'll do a playthrough like this with that, and then post that as well. I could set this up right now and go right back and try it again. It is not that hard. It's very straightforward. It's very portable. It comes in this little box right here. Not quite a pocket, but doesn't take up a lot of room. I like it. It's interesting. Not a ton of decisions because you've got these tracks, but I could have made better decisions. I probably could have went for the lakes a little bit more. I had some really good turns where I got 3 resource points, but then I had some really bad turns where I had 1 resource point. If you only have 1 resource point, there's not a lot you can do. And if you roll the die, boom, roll the die badly or have a bad dice roll modifier, well, you're not doing much that turn. So 1 resource point with a bad roll is, advance the turn marker. I mean, you're not doing a whole lot. So that can be a little bit frustrating. So you are kind of subject to the whim of the dice, or the will of the dice, especially with the resource points and your combat results. But overall, if you focus, I focused on taking York and Montreal and really put effort into that, and even had some die roll modifiers. I didn't end up not using that one. To die roll re-rolls, U.S. American regulars. So it's interesting. The next time I play this, I might focus on the lakes a little bit more. I didn't realize that I didn't read the victory point conditions until after I got done. I kind of read when the game ends, and I thought these 2 places would be very important, so I went for them. But I got beat back on these tracks a lot. I mean, the British will actually knock you back and actually knock you off your starting location, and you have to kind of fight to get those back. And I got knocked off of this one, I got knocked off of this one, and I got knocked off of this one, and I eventually got them back. But that took resources to do that, and resource points to do that. That I could have focused more on. Maybe the lakes in that regard. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. That is War of 1812 Solitaire. Fine game. It's not, if it's not crunchy enough for you, or not too deep of a simulation for you, or enough of a simulation for you, then probably not your cup of tea. But for me, this is fine. This is a nice little game filler here. It does not take that long to play. Once you know the rules, this really takes 15 minutes to start burning through it. And I'm anxious to get this to the table again, and also the other one, and get that on film. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Take care. Thanks for watching.